What is up, everybody, and welcome to KnifeCast episode 8. It's the Blade Show episode, and it's no secret that this one is long overdue. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Real quick, we do have a little recap from last week. Some of you might have noticed that there was a little bit of music and a little bit of stuff going on. We got a little fancy. Well, we tried a new piece of software, and it turns out that it recorded everything in a totally jarbled way, and it took me like a whole week to edit. So we're not using that anymore, which is why we didn't stick with the fancy sound effects. Let's go ahead and jump into what we carried or what we picked up recently. Josh?
Today I carried a Mass Drop and Ferrum Forge collaboration called the Gent. It was like $80, and I like it. For a smaller knife, it's got a little finger choil, and it's a 3-inch knife. It's for $80. I love it for the price it's at. So I've been carrying that a lot, actually.
Nice.
I just had one of those cross my desk. I just made a video on it. It should be coming out soon. It's a nice piece for $89. Really is.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I got one purely on a whim, and I've been digging it.
Frank?
Cool. Well, today I carried my BBM. I think she just came back from you, Tyler.
Indeed.
I let you take it home with you after the Blade Show, and it just got back. And I missed it a whole lot, and so I carried that. And it's also kind of a new acquisition topic, too. I may have just purchased a second BBM that's on its way to me from Hong Kong right now, so kind of excited about that.
Quite the distance.
Oh, man, Hong Kong. Love you long time.
That's right.
Wow, that's... Really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
First edit of the show, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry.
Today, I had to
What
go...
about you? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go to Home Depot to pick up some lumber, and I went in gym shorts, so I picked my lightest knife, which, Frank, is also relative to you, which is my F3R, with the new Russian marble carbon fiber scales from Carbon Plate and Department 13 Knives. Thing is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I got the titanium pivot collars and anodized those myself. Very happy with that. And the knife just rocks. It's super sick. So happy to have that one in the pocket.
It looks great, man. I'm glad that we were able to get those scales and kind of show some other people that that's a possibility. Those knives look awesome.
I think we've drummed up quite a bit of business for our friend Department 13. I've had a handful of people reach out to me.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's great. So we're doing this one a little bit different. So it was the most unfortunate thing ever that Josh could not participate at Blade Show with us this year. I'll let him explain that himself. But because of that, we've set him up as the host of the show, and we're going to let Josh take it away.
Yeah, so unfortunately, about a month before Blade Show was going to happen, I had a scheduled vacation to go back to Georgia to see my parents. That's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. And I got sick. Allergies. It was in the springtime. My allergies just kicked my ass the entire time I was there. And I had to make the flight back home because I didn't have like any buffer time between like vacation and work. I had to go to work the next day. So I made the flight, and with a sinus infection, and long story short, I blew my left eardrum out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds painful.
Yeah, one of the worst painful things that's ever happened to me, I think, because it's just, I don't know how to describe it as much as like an ice pick being jabbed into your ear and then behind your like eye. It was awful. And it was supposed to heal. I went to it was like you could just feel it, like you could hear it, like it'd go pop, and then it would pop again, and it would pop like super loud, and then just like your whole entire face was on fire. It was not fun. And I went to the doctor the day after, and they're like, yeah, you ruptured your eardrum. Normally these things take care of themselves. Well, about a week before Blade, I went for, a checkup to get the all clear. And the guy's like, your ear still looks like hell. We need to operate on it next week. And I was, no. I'm going to Atlanta. I have to go for a very important work thing. I can't miss it. And the doctor's like, no, you cannot fly. And if you fly, you could do irreversible permanent damage, and you might even lose the hearing in your left ear. So that scared the shit out of me. And I just couldn't make it. There was no way around it. I tried to get off extra time from work to drive out there. And that didn't happen either because it was such late notice. So, I mean, unfortunate circumstance, but here I am now in the same shoes as most of you that are listening, in that I didn't get to go. I have lots of questions about it, like everything that we saw behind the scenes, everything that we saw in photos more explained. And these two guys right here, they're lucky assholes. They got to go, and they had an amazing time. So let's just ask them some questions about it. So I guess one of the first questions I really want to ask, since you guys were there, like what was your most memorial thing that you guys did? Like, what do you take back? Like, we're about a month after the show because we're really behind on this, but a month after the show.
Frank just changed it from lowercase to up all caps.
What is all caps?
Is what I think. Would you agree, Frank?
Change what?
The pit.
Oh, the pit.
Yeah.
No,
dude.
The pit, man. That is so. The pit is the most memorable part of the show. Sure, the show is fun. You go in and you see all these amazing knives, and that's what you came here for. But the secret and the most memorable stuff happens after the show is closed down in the pit in the evening time, where you see all these people that you know are big collectors. You meet the makers. I was making a joke where, like, I accidentally tripped over Liang Ma's foot and bumped into Stan Wilson, and then John Gray spilled his beer on me. It's all these people are walking around, and all these makers that you've seen and you've heard about, and you get to meet them, and everyone is a nice person, and everyone is into knives. You don't ever experience that in your day-to-day life. Probably, I certainly don't. So that was the most memorable part to me.
I 100% agree. I mean, it's the show is a lot. It's an event. It's a lot, and it's something that you really, really appreciate if you're a collector. But in terms of, I mean, you use the word memorable, and to me, the most memorable experiences are not, ones that are rushed and everything like that, but rather when you get to like kick back and hang out with people that you call friends. And that's very much what the pit is. If anybody's wondering, because this was my second year at Blade Show, but the first year I didn't know about the pit. So this year I kind of thought I knew where it was, and I realized I didn't know where it was. It's in the lobby of the what is it? The Waverly.
The Renaissance Waverly.
The Renaissance Waverly. And it's cool. There's like restaurants, and I don't know, when I got there on Thursday, there was like music, there was like a DJ and stuff, and like it's kind of popping. But yeah, it was super cool. So
they had like a beer tent set up. It was nice.
And there's just a ton of tables. There's like a whole section of it that's set up like almost like a cafeteria with these long tables and chairs. And everybody just jumps down with their now pack and start handing now packs around, and it's just a blast, man. You get to try more in short bursts than anywhere else.
That's where I think there's a very high concentration of awesome, because it's all the really dedicated people that show up at the pit,
right?
And then they're bringing their best game, and so you really see some of the things that are kind of squirreled away in people's collections. Like, you're going to see the things that don't ever get on Instagram or whatever. They're there.
Right, getting to play with Aaron's non-flipper flipper trio, right? The Stan Wilson and the two Nardellis. Like, how often do you get to do that?
Right, exactly, yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, so for those that's like playing along on Instagram, the pit was that one that you see everybody take the pictures of, like way up high, and it was in that big square, like
Correct.
In the middle, like an atrium. Yeah, okay.
Right. It's kind of like there's an actual physical
pit
depression into the ground where there's a pit area. I never actually went into the the formal pit area. It's kind of a small circle.
It was really small. I sat there with Jason Overall and his wife, but then we had to move because it was like...
Yeah, it gets very crowded right there, but, really the surrounding area is also full of people. It's more comfortable to kind of walk around and have a place to sit in a chair and a table farther away. So, at least that was my experience.
Did you guys see any, like, some backhanded deals going on in the pit? Like, people getting first-hand or chances at some stuff?
I did that, yeah.
Absolutely. Thursday
I am a
Thursday
culprit.
night. Thursday night, Michael Gavik walking around with his now pack full of knives, and first come, first serve. The show hasn't started, but you want a Gavco. This is your chance. I almost took one. He's a good freaking salesman, I'll tell you that much.
I took one.
Dude made so many knives for the show.
Tyler got one that night.
Yeah, for a friend, right?
For one of our... I think he listens to the podcast.
His
name is Aaron, too.
You know, I wouldn't call these backhanded deals, but certainly sort of special insight. And I mean, there were other things. So we're kind of focused, and we've talked about this in the past, on the folding tactical knife niche. But there were like secret sales of like what I don't know what they were, bottle openers or some stupid shit like that.
The
something
Lotto or whatever, that line for that Nuck.
At least a couple of things just spring up out of nowhere, and they were Lottos for Nucks and spinners and other things that people are super interested in.
So these were Lottos going on at the pit? Like people were signing up for a Lotto at the pit?
Right.
Okay.
There were Lottos, and there were other things going on at the pit, like formal sales and things that people organized through their groups or whatever. I wasn't privy to it because I wasn't following it.
Clandestine, though, like the way everything went down. Like,
yeah, you just see people running across the room, and like suddenly there's a line at just some random
table,
seat.
right? Yeah.
And it just happened. I certainly benefited from it on Saturday night. I bought a knife in the pit. I brought home that Robert Carter Custom Tech.
Yeah,
you got that from the pit?
I bought that from my buddy Fanatic Edge, actually. Andrew owned that knife. He was the one that ordered it, and he sold it to me like basically at cost, actually a little bit under cost from what I understand. So
that wasn't even available through him at the show.
Correct. That was just somebody brought this knife, and he decided he wanted to buy something else and needed the money, and he sold it to me, and I think he instantly bought a Gavco with that money. So the circle of
he is a man after my own heart.
That's right.
But so like what we're saying, that's a good pro tip. If you really want something, maybe be at the pit Thursday evening. Don't wait till Friday. Get out there and talk. It sounds like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and if there's a knife that you've seen that's out there that like suddenly that collector is at Blade Show, you can go and say hi and be like, hey, do you want to sell me that whatever, or at least show it to me?
And people will do it because they're hot for new stuff, and
that's right.
They make rash decisions.
It's true. Crazy stuff happens.
So going into the first day, you guys both, I'm assuming, I hope, had early bird passes, right?
I got an exhibitor pass.
And see, I told you guys about these exhibitor passes like months ago, and you told me nobody does that.
So
it's a thing.
I had no idea. And
you were unofficially Frank Fisher, right? Is that what you're about to tell us?
I was very fortunate to get to hang out with Matt Patton, who's a very generous and kind human being, who also happens to sell knives. And he had a booth combined with Frank Fisher. So on Thursday, when we got there, we showed up at the same time. He and I both live in Louisiana. So, we were just talking before the show. We happened to show up at the same time. And we went to the show, and he had an exhibitor pass. So I got in on Thursday with the Frank Fisher exhibitor pass. Don't tell anybody. I'm telling everyone right now. And then... Friday, so you wanted to know about the first day. So you should know that stuff goes down on Thursday. Before the show opens, I went in there with an exhibitor pass, and people were doing deals, selling things, particularly some of the materials makers. They had their stuff out early, and some of the custom guys were walking around and finding some of the best pieces early on. I did notice that. But the next day, I also got an exhibitor pass and was able to get in early. I actually got Elijah Isham's exhibitor pass.
There you go.
On Friday, and I just kind of strolled in. So next year, I'm going to figure out how to do it more formally in the right way, but it just worked out.
Yeah, and I got very lucky with having my friends over at... God, yeah, I know. Should we even be saying all this stuff? My friends
I
over
think
at...
it's like an open secret, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody knows about it, but nobody tells.
My buddies that that are a dealer. Unfortunately, good old Tunes Prinsloo from South Africa could not make it due to unforeseen circumstances, and so they had Tunes's pass, and I was able to use that on Friday to get in early.
Nice.
I bet you he blew his eardrum out too.
Something like that.
Well, I'll justify it by saying that I didn't mess up anybody's plans. Like I didn't go in and buy something early or
I didn't either.
Abuse it. I just made some videos for people, so I don't think that was I'll justify it in that sense.
Yeah, that's a very noble use of that pass. I will give you that.
Yeah, I just went around and made some content for folks. So
if I had that pass, I would be like hitting up everybody. Hey, sell me something.
I don't even think that like it should be necessarily perceived as a negative thing, because the truth is, like, if you're into this enough and you want to be that person, you can go be that person. Like,
right.
I mean, this whole industry, right, is about making friends and knowing people. And I mean, if somebody could be listening to this and be like really upset, like, oh man, like, it's bullshit that people get like special treatment, but it's like, I mean, is it really bullshit? Because if that's really the kind of person you want to be, if you're super into fucking knives and your whole priority is like spending all this money and doing all this stuff, then like you're probably that guy, right? You probably are Micah, right? Like you probably are one of us, right? Like you're stoked on this stuff. And so like I think a lot of people that would complain and be sour about people going in before them don't realize that like they don't have $6,000 to blow on the knives ahead of time. You know what I mean? Like, right. So it's like money talks, and if you don't have the money, don't talk.
Well, let's talk about this in a more general sense. I made a video on my YouTube kind of explaining the way that I went through Blade Show kind of in a step-by-step fashion, but we're talking about the first day, and we all the two of us were fortunate enough to have good friends with exhibitor passes. But if you want to get in, we did have the early bird special. I had the early bird special ticket. I paid my, $65 or whatever it was to get in. So fair and square, I paid my money to get in. And I got it on Thursday night, the pass and everything. And there are basically two options, and that's to show up ultra early and try to get in line. And by ultra early, I mean 5 a.m. or earlier when it opens at noon. Or just wait until like 2 p.m., which is probably my recommendation. Unless you're there to try to get some first-come, first-serve item, which is kind of silly to me to begin with. Just go a little bit later, and you'll beat the line, and you'll be able to kind of stroll casually.
Last year I went at 2 p.m., and this year I actually bought the 2 p.m. ticket too, and I was like not worried about it. And the only reason I went in is because Thursday night my friends hit me up and offered it to me, and I was like, all right, I guess so.
So you're telling me there's people waiting in line at 5
There's people waiting in line Thursday night that camp out.
There are people waiting in line like Wednesday night.
I don't
know
what the fuck?
No, seriously, there are people there like over a day early, waiting in line with seats, like camping out. Yes, they were there at least 24 hours in advance, but
what are they doing? Are they waiting on a Nintendo Switch or something?
Lots of people want stuff like the Microtech Blade Show specials openers. And like that stuff. And
there's first come first serve. Some makers and some people, a lot of people have first come first serve items, and you can run in there. Our good friend Eugene Kwan, who you're actually going to meet up with, it sounds like, in a little bit.
Yeah, next Saturday.
So Eugene did it the hardcore way. So he showed up at 5 a.m. He said that he was probably the 100th person in line. And he got in early, and he was early enough to make it to the Brian Nadeau Sharp by Design booth, and he picked up a Mini Typhoon first come, first serve.
Okay.
That was his goal of the show, was to get one of those first come first serve knives.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So going in first day. Well, I mean, when you're first day, like really there, we're not talking about all the Thursday stuff and stuff. When you first walk in, it's like, what's going through your guys' mind? Like, what are you looking for? What are you prioritizing? Like, what is that all about? Is it overwhelming?
So for me, it being my second time, I kind of like knew exactly what to expect. I remember the first year that I was there, it was like kind of hits you like a wave. You're like, whoa, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, whoa. And this year there was even another room, which we'll talk about later. But so it's like super whoa. But this year I walked in and I don't know. I went straight to ACK told me I needed to come straight to them. And I went there and they did I don't know if you saw this, the shirt reveal.
Yeah, I saw that shirt. That was hilarious.
So for those of you listening, if you know the OJD meme with me, if you don't know it, just like look it up. It's on Instagram and stuff and YouTube. But so they made shirts that say knifegasm, and it's like the dictionary entry type thing with like the pronunciation of it and a definition. And then it said hashtag OJD, and then it's got like the ACK logo on the arm. And so they were like, hey, come to the booth, like right when I walked in. And I was like, no, I'm going to go do like a couple things. I'll be there later. And they were like, no, come now. And I was like, okay. So I went and I get there and I say hello and they spin me around and there's a camera on me all of a sudden. And we do this video and they surprise me with this shirt. And so they gave me one and that was really cool. And then I was released into the show. But so I didn't have an option to choose what my first thing to do was. I was
cool.
beckoned. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Let's see. The first thing I did, this was my very first show. So it was a bit overwhelming, honestly. I was very happy that I was able to sneak in on Thursday and kind of get the lay of the land. What I really did that day was I walked basically the whole main floor, and I kind of got my bearings and found some of the tables that I wanted to see because I had not made a plan. I mean, you can really plan this out to the point where you have a printed out map with like highlighted tables and like directions and a flow of how you want to do things.
You know what though? I did that last year and it just doesn't, it all goes out the window when you get
what I realized is exactly that I was planning like that, and then I was like, holy crap, there are 36 tables between these two places and I want to see 10 of them. I'm going to get distracted. Let's just go with the flow. So I just kind of walked in. I was calm because I didn't have any pressure to go find a first come first serve knife. I had actually pre-ordered pretty much all of the knives that I picked up except for that Carter Custom Tech. I had pre-ordered all the knives that I bought at Blade Show, so I was calm about it. I wasn't running anywhere. I went and I found Peter Rosenti first, and I picked up a small Satori from him. I just kind of slowly walked around. He actually reached out to me first, so I thought that was pretty cool. He was like, I have your knife, and I went and picked that up. And then just walked around, man. Just walking down the aisles and through the booths and the tables, you just see everything. There are people that you want to see, and you're going to miss it. It's hard to explain. There's so much stuff going on. You want to see this maker, but you might not see him in 3 days. So, I went to places like the Riot booth. I wanted to see their knives. I thought the Jack, that Integral that they have, was probably the best production knife at Blade Show 2018.
I was hearing a lot of uproar on that one. A lot of people were excited about it. It kind of came out of nowhere.
Per dollar, I agree with that. Yeah.
It was the best production knife at Blade Show. It put all of the other knives, even the knives that Riot had, the Kirby Lamberts and stuff.
Yeah.
I would put the Jack above all of the other knives that they showed.
I agree.
That's interesting.
It was that good. One. Yeah, I mean, Austin Snuggle Bunny got one, Eugene Kwan got one, Sid got one. That was my biggest regret, is not buying that knife. I should have gotten one of those.
Stupid good for the price.
And they're going to cost more once they're actually public. I think that was a Blade Show special price.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because it should be a $600 knife.
Right, they were selling for $450.
450,
So
dude.
if they can do that for $450, I'd be amazed, but it seems unlikely.
They would
but
destroy the market if they could do that.
It was
I
unbelievable.
think.
So the first day, I kind of tried to hit the big tables. I hit Riot. I went to the Wii table. I went to find some of these other makers I wanted to see. I found JD Van Deventer, OJD.
OJD.
Oh,
Yeah, and I actually picked up my gold from him, the same knife that made
The gold.
Tyler the
he's
golden
got the
gold.
golden
Yeah,
gold.
that's right. JVO called it the golden gold. That was kind of cool. That thing is a work of art. It's amazing.
I love the little strips. Tell us about the little strips.
The little strips. So
Yeah.
so that knife, maybe you've seen it, has some mokume accents. It's got the pivot collars, and then the backspacer is made of mokume as well. But when I asked JD to do that, he was a little bit concerned because he said that the mokume may not be thick enough. So he figured out a solution where he went and got some brass shim stock, and he put it to either side of a piece of mokume, and he basically tack welded it together, and then kind of sanded it all down and fitted it, and so it all fits perfectly. He didn't have to make the blade any thinner, but what the backspacer has is these two very thin shims
Very thin.
of brass,
like hair thin.
like paper thin, extremely
Wow.
thin, but there you can see them if you look very closely, and so it just adds a little bit of a story and even a little pop of color right there. So if you go back and look at the pictures on my Instagram, you might catch that the sort of macro shots of the backspacer.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't
a-
heard
it's
that
a
story. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice knife. Very nice.
Okay.
I don't even know, man. Talking about the first day, I could talk for 12 hours about the first day. Seriously, it was just fun. It was a
So
good time.
my goal, I'll say, my goal. I had very fixed budget, and it was. I knew how much it was, and it was the exact amount for a Thorburn, because I know how much all of those cost by heart, and so I knew what I was going for. So I went to his table, and I made him break out all the hidden knives, and and
there were a lot of hidden knives.
A lot.
There
Oh,
were
yeah.
a lot of them.
So the reason why I laugh so hard, have you guys seen Men in Black?
I mean, when I was a kid.
A long
Yeah.
time ago, right? It's one of my favorite movies. Anyways,
For sure.
at the point in Men in Black where they're at like the gun store,
Mhm.
and the dude is like, show me your good shit, and is like, I don't know what you're talking about, and he's like, show me your good shit, or I'm gonna blow your head off, and he shoots the dude's head off, and his head grows back, and he hits a button, and he flips out like all like the alien guns, like all the
Yeah.
good shit. That's what pops in my mind. Like you go to
Right.
Thor, it's like, show me the good shit.
Well, yeah,
That
because you
shit-
get to his table and it's
exactly what happened.
like L19s and L51 compacts, all with G10, and then like 3 bolster knives, and you're just like, bro, come on.
Come on. And then he opens this case, and
Yeah,
there's like
and there's like
175
30, yeah.
knives. No, this is so many.
Oh wow!
So
It
many.
wasn't that many, but it was like 30 or 40.
30.
It was a lot of
Okay.
knives.
So I picked through every single one that he had, all of them. And I picked one out. It was L36M that's almost identical to my current L36M. And I actually sold it to my neighbor, my good friend Rich.
You sold it.
Yeah, I sold it. So it was the best action in my collection, but I never kept that F95 frag either, and that was the best action in my collection. A knife has to be perfect to me, like kind of in every way, for me to keep it. And the problem with that knife was that it was identical to the one that I have.
But it was also imperfect in certain ways that you had discussed.
I mean, the bolster a little bit with the stippling, but not like that wasn't it. Like that.
Not in a mechanical way.
No, that's just like a hand built aspect. But like he's making his knives thinner now. He's not doing the mirrored flats on his blades. It's like satin now, and then a very close to mirror satin, but definitely not mirror. And then he's got the new logo, and I wasn't a fan of either of those things, so I let that one go. But so I kind of handled that itch to get something very early, and then didn't really have to worry about it moving forward. Though I did pick up a lot of knives for people.
That's good of you.
It was fun. I mean, I went home with like 7 knives, but I only bought one.
Yeah. My goal for the first day was to acquire all of the Blade Show sort of pre-bought knives that I got.
Yeah.
And I did do that. The last one I picked up was the Fanatic Edge Omen. I picked that one up on the first day.
I like that one. That one seems like a sleeper hit. Like a lot of people were kind of writing it off that I was talking to. What about it? Like, what drew you to it? Like,
well, it's just, I'm friends with Andrew in a sense. We talk fairly frequently just about knives in general, and he's a pretty nice guy. And I've always liked Elijah's designs. And when I heard that he was making his own, Andrew Fanatic was making his own line of knives, I was like, how can I help him out? He's my friend. And to be honest, the first knife he came out with was the Origin, and I was pretty honest with him, and I said I wasn't a huge fan of the design. But this one was really interesting because it's like purely Elijah's design. It's made by We Knives. It's this kind of crazy-looking, futuristic. It kind of takes, I don't know how to say, like tactical to an extreme. So you're either going to like it or you won't like it. Like, it can almost be misconstrued as like almost a gas station-like design. And the people are going to get mad at me for that too, but the way that it's executed and what it really is, it's a beautiful thing, and I think the design is really cool. And so I just picked it up. I mean, it's M390 in titanium, and you can get Andrew to modify it however you want from the factory at that same price. So, I mean, everyone's paying the same, and you can get it anodized however you want. And I got mine greened, or Frankie green, whatever, obviously. But it's a neat little knife. I like it.
So, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the second room, right?
So Fanatic was in the second room. So that was a new thing this year.
Yep.
That second room, 2 problems. Okay, the second room was not sort of, I guess it was sort of advertised, but the problem was it was hard to get to. You had to go out of the main room, walk all the way around sort of the circumference of the inside of the building to get to the other side and go in a separate door. You couldn't just walk in between the rooms easily. And so you had to make a conscious decision.
They were like secret doors.
Yeah, but they were like guards and stuff there. I just didn't really know what was going on. And so, in any case, he was in the second room. Cold Steel was kind of the headline of that room, but there were some other folks in there.
Shark Knife Co.
Shark Knife Co., which I did not see,
Culture Tech.
Unfortunately. I totally missed that. Culture Tech, which we saw, for sure.
Matt Patton and...
Matt Patton, Frank Fisher.
Aaron Frederick, he was in there.
Will Moon.
He labeled it as Ass Crackistan because it was so far away from all the action.
I will say the action is in the main room. I think that the second room was sort of, a slow start this year, but I think that it could be if they were able to get the foot traffic sort of faster between the rooms and put more heavy hitters in the second room.
It's worth noting, too, that it was packed.
It's true. The second room,
it was full. Yeah, right. So it's not like it's not like it was like almost like an afterthought. Like, oh, there's a few extra people. It was like we needed it. So it's going to stay.
Speaking of being full, they said 10,000 people came this year. It's the biggest one they've ever had.
Yeah,
wow.
I heard that too.
And people said this hobby was dying. Yeah, right.
It's just getting crazier and crazier. It seems like.
I think with social media, it's really taken off recently. Think of all the people, including myself, that have jumped on this sort of bandwagon just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And you too, Tyler. I mean, it's just been kind of like, I think it's growing well right now.
I think so too.
It's just, it's rebounding in a way, right? Because it was
up, Alexa.
Down.
Sorry. Jesus.
Fucking Alexa.
Fucking bitch, dude. Sometimes.
Oh man.
Speak when not spoken to.
And then I guess we'll just continue on with this first day. So the first day goes from 12 noon, and it went till 7 p.m. this year.
Yeah.
By 7 p.m., I was freaking exhausted.
Wiped.
Because you've been walking for 7 hours. You know, I've got my pedometer on my phone, and it's like you've walked like 5 miles.
Do you know how many steps you did for the whole show?
I don't. But that first day, I remember seeing that it was 5 miles of walking.
I was at 29,000 when I got to the airport.
29,000 steps.
I believe it, man. That's easily 10,000 a day. I mean,
yeah,
easy.
Do you remember? Go ahead.
So I'm just wiped, and there was. I just kind of went back to my hotel room and chilled for like an hour. I like took a shower and took a quick nap, and then hit the pit again.
The fucking pit, man.
Tyler was there. We were chilling. I just brought my knives, man. That's where it was fun. So I brought both. I checked a bag, and I brought 2 of the 8-pack now packs full of knives. I brought my whole collection basically to the show, and I brought 1 case out of sort of the high-end stuff for everybody to see. And it was fun. I just like opened it, sat at a table, and there were probably, intermittently, different people just coming through. And like I got to hang out with people like Rob Carter and Nick Chuprin and Felix from Something Obscene Company. We hung out with your friend Aaron, who goes by HK Winger, and he's got an insane collection that he brought out to show us. And he made some amazing purchases during the show.
Yo, let me interrupt you because you mentioned something about just sitting at a table and opening your now pack.
Yeah.
I'd like to just sort of take a moment and give a shout out to the knife community and maybe dispel any fears of people who haven't attended shows who are thinking about bringing their collection. If somebody wanted to touch your knife, every single person I interacted with, which was a lot of people, made sure that they shook my hand and told me their name before they even reached. And, there's just a lot of respect going around for people's belongings. And when you sit down at a table in between 6 guys, there's $80,000 worth of fragile product, right? You drop one of these things on the floor, it's fucked.
Right.
So I just think it's worth pointing out that like everybody's very respectful and like delicate, and knives go back in the now pack. They don't get left on a table where water condensation is and stuff. You know what I mean? Like people are,
and
people make a point to make sure that that you got your knife back. And
people are.
Go ahead.
I want to echo that and just say that it was. I felt very safe. I got a little sloppy even at a certain point. Saturday night, I just had my knives. They were just out, like on a ledge, and I had like 3 or 4 people handling them, and they're everywhere. But like you said, everyone was like, I put it back here. I put it back in the case. Let me show you. And I came home with everything, and nobody scratched anything or dropped it. Everyone there is there for the same reason, and I was glad that I brought it. I will bring it again. I'll bring my collection again for sure.
I just thought that was worth pointing out.
That's one of the best things about this hobby is the people, really. Mm-hmm. I've had very few to almost non-existent interactions that were on a negative side. But you were talking about letting people see your knives and stuff, and it reminded me. Tell us about your quote-unquote lost BBM.
Dog, why do you got to bring that? Come on. I thought I was going to get through this without having to talk about this. This is so okay. I've got my whole collection with me. I'm on edge. Everything is kind of this whole time you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, right? You're just you're at the show. You have some of your knives with you. You're handing knives to people. You're playing with theirs. It's getting loosey goosey. I went to the table to buy my Peter Rosenti small Satori. And I had my BBM in my pocket. And so as soon as I bought the small Satori, I took the BBM out of my pocket, wrapped it up, and put it in the small Satori box, which I then put in my bag. And then I was talking and I was distracted. I put the Satori in my pocket, and I walk away, and a few hours later, I wanted to show somebody the BBM because I run into somebody and they wanted to see it. And I'm like, oh, crap, where is it? I didn't think, and I looked in my bag, and I saw the Resenti box, but I didn't think that I had put it in there. And so I was like, oh, crap, I've let like 15 people handle this today. I just left it in somebody's hands. Somebody's going to have it. And so I put a message out that I was like, I lost my BBM. If you find it, let me know. And it was actually in my bag the whole time. And that was up for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, and a bunch of people were like, oh, no. You lost it, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm just a moron. Sorry."
I was freaking out for you.
Someone was like, "Aren't you supposed to do brain surgery on people? Why are you so retarded?"
So we're at lunch. Frank and Aaron and I, and was Sid with us?
Yeah, Sid was with us.
Sid was with us too. And
Aaron being HK Winger.
Yeah,
and Sid being Rumble.s.
Rumble.s. So we're at lunch, and we're all just hanging out, and Frank tells us about his lost BBM, and everybody's like, bro, that's not good. And we're hanging out, and then we're like, oh, let's get out our knives and share our knives. And then Frank, his shoulders drop, and he looks up with a look on his face of disbelief and is like, the BBM is in my bag.
And then I had to proceed to tell the like 15 people on Instagram they were consoling me, like
that his glasses were on his head. Yeah,
I'm just an idiot.
Oh man.
Yeah, Tyler gave it to me hard for that.
I did.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I deserved it though. It was hilarious.
That was a good lunch, and then we had to run back in a spontaneous torrential downpour of utter hell.
I was soaked absolutely all the
head
way
to toe. It was crazy.
Yeah. Gotta love Atlanta for those spring and
afternoon
summer showers.
Yeah.
It was torrential rain, and we were just soaked all the way through. So we spent the rest of the day doing that.
We had to run all the way from the mall to the place, and of course the bridge that has a roof has sides that are open. So it's sideways rain, and it's just fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a little strip mall next to the convention center with some restaurants. There was a Cheesecake Factory, a PF Chang's. There was a
B-Dubs,
Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, there was a burger shop.
There's a steakhouse that I haven't been to yet.
A steakhouse and the Italian restaurant Maggiano's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was fun.
There's a steakhouse in Atlanta called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Those are everywhere. That's a chain.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of chains.
There's a Ruth's Chris near my house.
Well, there's not any in my area of California that I know of.
It's East Coast, probably.
They're very good steakhouses.
Yeah, they're good. Mm-hmm. That's what I was gonna say. Anyways. Okay. Totally just ruined my little moment. I was like, hey, you guys should try this out.
What other interesting Friday stuff happened?
Yeah.
Friday
for me was just like a blur of like saying hello to everybody and then being like, it was really nice saying hello to you. I need to go say hello to other people. Just
I'll say this was an interesting recurring theme for me. I kept running into Elijah Isham through the whole show.
And you had lunch with him and the other podcast. I heard that you're going to leave this podcast and go on a
This
Knife
is the
Night.
first I'm hearing of this. What is this nonsense?
Well, I was thinking about it. No, I'm just kidding. That was at the end of the show, actually. So I did have dinner with Elijah on, I don't even know, Friday night, Saturday night? I think it was Saturday night. It's all a blur, man. It all just blends together. I think on Saturday night I had dinner with Elijah, but I just saw him a bunch of times. I hung out with him Friday and Saturday, and then like the last day I went to lunch with him and Levon and Jake from the Knife Nuts podcast. So that was a lot of fun too. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was another Friday thing. It just I kept seeing him. He also got an Omen, and his was also green, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then And then Saturday. I think Saturday more stuff happened, I think, Saturday.
Most definitely more stuff happened. That is true. That is a true statement.
I think Friday I spent a lot of time just trying to get the knives that I had pre-ordered and meeting a bunch of people.
Meeting people, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think Saturday was more of like a sit down and let's look at the knives and everything. I was also taking tons of video.
Saturday I did video all day, yeah.
I think Saturday had much more video content because I just kind of got to actually walk around and see everything, had a better understanding of the layout.
100%. And I had to bounce on Saturday.
Yeah, you left on Saturday, man. What? Just never. Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
I made a mistake.
That was a big mistake, Broseph.
I know. I know.
Yeah, so word to the wise, don't leave on Saturday. Stay until Sunday because, like, just why?
Yeah, just stay.
I missed the Bri, dude.
Yeah, a guy died at the Bri, dude.
Did they?
A human being died in the vicinity of the Blade Bri.
What do you mean?
Did you know this?
No,
you didn't know this? Oh. So there's like a...
Not somebody at the Bri.
No, it's not a member of the Bri or any member of the knife community, but... So there was an event called the Blade Bri, and it's something put on by African Custom Knives, and it's like a cookout, and it's invitation extended to lots of folks, maybe everybody, but I didn't go. I didn't actually get to go. I slept through it basically because I was also exhausted again. I'm telling you, you get tired. You better have a bottle of water and some comfortable shoes because you're just walking for hours. But there was apparently some guy was canoeing down the river and had a heart attack and died, and they were fishing him out in the vicinity of the Bri.
In the Chattahoochee River?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, so the town I grew up in, the Chattahoochee ran through it. That is a very, very dirty river. Just an FYI. Yeah. It's not a clean river. So if you go to Blade Show, don't go kayaking and have a heart attack or canoeing.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's talk about the knives themselves.
I was gonna say, let's talk about knives.
Yeah, let's talk about what the show was really put on for, and that was for the knives. What was really what was a big standout for you guys?
I know the knife that I'm gonna say.
Okay,
say it now. Let me think about it for a second.
Definitely the Michael Raymond auction piece.
Oh,
okay. And if I remember, when I was talking about the Michael,
why you didn't like it?
No.
What? Okay.
He didn't like the color or the stuff.
The red carbon quartz?
It's disgusting. Sorry, I'm just I'm saying objectively, to me that was the knife. His other knife, I don't care. The other one then.
Yeah, the one.
I just just the weight and everything. I assume you had regular carbon quartz in it, and then tell me it wasn't the dopest thing ever.
I have a Starlet actually here right now.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a Starlet, and I handled the two that
he guy follows me, by the way. I gotta hit him up
at his table. I handled the two knives that Michael Raymond had, and they feel largely the same.
Did you put a fingerprint on the knife?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did too, and I got not the best look for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the knives are for, man. They're there to be handled so people can experience them.
That's what I thought. But what did you think about the Shirogorov knives that said do not touch?
I did not touch them.
I did.
Because Sergei Shirogorov is standing there and he's 9'7".
So
and he's like
I should probably tell this story. And if anybody that speaks Russian listens to this, please hit up Sergei and explain to him that I apologize. So I'm at the table and I'm filming, so I have a gimbal. So I can't see the paper. It's displaced from where the knives are. It's right. A single piece of paper that says please do not touch, below the two knives that are sitting off to the side.
I saw that you posted a video of you handling those knives, and I was like, how did you do this? So I want to hear this.
So I don't see the paper because it's below my gimbal. So I asked Sergei, just to be polite, may I pick it up? May I handle it? And he says yes. I'm assuming because he doesn't speak English and didn't know what I asked him because he said yes very quietly. But so I just went, cool. You know what I mean? And I just picked him up and I just started handling him. And then this guy that was working the table said to me,
Tom, right? What's his name?
I didn't know. I didn't see a name tag or anything. I don't know who it was, but he was like, God, now I don't even remember what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, you know, it says like, please don't touch, but like, fuck it, right? Like, you know, and I didn't,
Right.
I still hadn't seen the piece of paper, so I didn't understand. I thought he was like making a bad joke, and so I just laughed at him and kept handling the knives.
Don't touch. I get it.
It was such a horrible misunderstanding. I had no idea what I was doing. And as far as I was concerned, I had full-blown permission. Like, Sergey said yes. So I just finger-fucked those things and played with the action, and I guess I'm the one that got the only video content of them actually moving.
You did, yeah.
And the interesting thing
took
was...
a very shitty picture of them because I couldn't move them into frame.
Yeah, so the interesting thing was I thought they were terrible.
Really?
Like, super tight action. Felt like there was no oil on the D10 at all. Like... Just
Yeah, this surprised me when you told me that the first time.
I was very unimpressed with the Sergey proper knives.
That is the thing that I think Blade Show is the best about. That you can go and meet your heroes, and we've talked about that phenomenon. Don't meet your heroes, but this is an opportunity to do that without the sort of problems, without spending the money on it per se. So like, you got to handle 250 knives, you know, over the course of 3 days, and you get to see everything from the best to the worst, and you get to handle these superhero knives, and you can see who's awesome and who's not quite as awesome as the hype might make you think.
100%. I mean, I've said that a million times, right? That the whole reason to go to a show is because you can do multiple years and tens of thousands of dollars worth of sort of figuring yourself out in a weekend.
Right.
Yeah, it's very valuable.
Well, so since you guys said that, let's talk about like what knife surprised you the most. Like, he was like, oh wow, you know.
Adam Purvis had that Primordial that he's making with Wii.
I've got that right now.
That thing is fucking awesome.
I like how everything, like, Frank is like, oh, I got that.
Yeah,
he's
I know,
got
right?
everything with him right now.
He's got like the whole Elijah Isham lineup too.
Yeah,
I was very lucky. I got to bring home a lot of cool stuff. That Pleroma, I just released that video today, right? I think.
Yeah, today.
Cool knife. I brought home the Blackfire. That video is going to go up tomorrow. I have the Primordial. I got a Arius for my buddy Nico. Probably. So you asked me to mention a standout knife. I went to a table for the maker Philippe Georget. This is a French guy, and
yeah.
This Fif, I don't even know how to say it. Fif.
I had a friend that used to say, I plead the Fif.
I plead the Fif.
That was his gamer tag on Xbox.
1, 2, 3, 4, Fif. Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, but that was something. So I had seen a couple of videos. So maybe you guys are familiar with our French knife brother Svy, CZVY. So cool French dude, awesome channel. I followed his channel a long time ago before I ever had my own, and he talked about Philippe Georget. So I went and checked out his stuff, and man, oh man, does that guy make a nice knife. This Fif, I handled the 20 and the 23. I brought home a 23, and I have a video on that one coming up. Just a spectacular knife. I've got to get one of those at some point.
Do you remember the table price on it?
It was $1,300 for the for the 23, and that'll be in the video that I have. And the other, pretty much all of them were $1,300.
I thought it was like a 2,000 plus knife.
That's actually that's more than I thought it would be.
It's incredible. It's actually like he had some great work. I signed up for his auctions or his lottos both days, but messed up. Speaking of lottos, somehow people get like 100 different entries into lottos somehow.
Yeah, I know that. I know how.
Yeah, they just get a bunch of people to sign up for them. Like Philippe Georget had a deck of cards, and he would tear the card in half. A lot of makers do that. And put one half in the box and give you the other half. And so I show up to this lotto with my half of a card, and motherfucker standing right next to me has like 17 cards, half of a cards in his hand, and he wins a knife. And I'm like, how does that happen? That's one person.
He just brought like a pack of cards with him. He's like,
No.
is that cheating? Like, what did he do?
It happened to me. I'm not going to say who or for what auction because that would be not cool, I don't think. But that happened to me. Somebody had me be that giver of a card.
Yeah, well, I mean it's okay, but it's something that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So you get a card for somebody.
So I walk up and I say, "Hey, Mr. Maker, I want an entry to your lotto," and he goes, "Okay," and he tears a card in half and he gives it to me. And then I literally walk down the aisle and hand it to the person who's collecting them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, stuff in the ballot.
This has been... Maybe we should not air this episode.
These are the dark secrets of the Blade Show.
I just want... I don't want people to get the impression that, people are, breaking the rules or anything. I don't know, man. It's all in good fun. Everybody's just getting knives. Everybody's just helping each other out. Nobody does anything that's against their will. Nobody gets taken advantage of, I don't think. It's all just fun, collectors... Man. Being crazy.
I think it's fine, and it's one of those phenomena where it's like, if you don't win it, it's like okay because you didn't just have to spend $1,300,
right?
You know,
right?
It's like I could just go to the next maker, you know. If somebody is obsessed on a maker, if I was there, I'd be doing everything I could to get a Tashi Barusha Heat Seeker. I'd be on my knees. I'd be getting cards from everybody.
You should have tried to buy his Wolverine claws.
That's what I want to talk about, the Super Cat claws. That's what I'm...
All right, you guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Oh, my God. Okay. Are you kidding me?
So that was something that actually happened on Friday for me. I got in to the show a bit early. Like I said, I got the exhibitor pass, so I probably was in the door at about 10:30, and the show opened at 12. And so I was walking around, and Tashi Barusha was one of the tables I saw early. And I introduced myself because he's actually interacted with me a little bit on Instagram. I've made some videos and tagged him in some content, and we've had some conversations back and forth. I've asked him some questions about models and things that he was doing. He's always been friendly to me. And so I introduced myself as Dr. Frunke, and, I think, he did recognize me and, he knew the name. And so we kind of just chatted for a second, and I looked at the claws, and it was clearly an auction piece, and I was not asking to touch it, and I was just looking at them. I said, those are really cool. I had just watched the movie Logan 2 days before. I had not seen it, and so I'd finally gotten the chance to see it, and it was just a random fluke that I had seen it, and then I was there. And so he picked him up and put him in my hands, and I got a picture with him with the freaking claws in my hands.
I saw that picture, yeah.
They were huge, man. They were so awesome. They felt exactly the way you would want them to feel.
Oh,
and it was just you knew that you could just go to town. If there was a watermelon right in front of you, you could just be like, da, da, da.
That was a childhood dream. If I could have those, oh, man. Do you know how much they went for? I don't remember.
It was a lot. I want to say it was $4,500 or something like that. It was quite a bit.
It's so worth it.
Someone dropped a big price on that one. It was interesting because he said he molded. So when I put it in my hand, there were 3 claws. The 2 claws on the outside fit very snugly to my fist, but the one in the middle had a little bit of a gap. And he was like, I molded these to my hands, and now everyone who's trying them has this gap that was not there when I designed it. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Did he have really big hands?
No, he had hands probably about my size, but I guess it was just the way that his knuckles were positioned, and I had a little gap, and most people did. So it was just an interesting little thing that he realized there. And his knives were insane, super nice.
Yeah, Jonas Mastrop, he's the Mastrop guy for the knives. He actually won a Heat Seeker. Those Heat Seekers are, man, I tell you what, I would get on my hands and knees and beg that dude.
You can stop saying that. I understand. That's good. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that you say that. I ran into Mastrop Jonas at the Tashi Barusha table. As soon as I put down those claws, Jonas walks up, and he introduces himself, and we talked for a minute too. And I made some videos of some Mastrop knives. He had a now pack with him of these upcoming knives. I got to handle the Perpetua, the TJ Schwartz one that's coming out.
Right, with the axis slot.
the new Terzula one that I actually have pre-ordered, and a few others. And that was a neat moment right there too. Interesting that you bring that up. He won one of the Heat Seekers, so I guess that's when he was signing up for it.
Yeah, lucky bastard.
That's good.
I didn't actually. I'm back. I didn't actually get to play with any of Tashi's knives, even though I was at the table.
They're very nice.
Oh man, there's one on a website right now for 27, which I know is way higher than his table price was for him.
Tashi's knives are very, very nice. They're beautiful art knives. I would be so afraid to carry or use them, though, because they're so pretty.
Nah, you got to use it.
Problem. I know. That's the problem. That's why
Aaron uses his.
Well,
yeah.
That's Aaron. The dude's like dropping $10K on an NFF. A 2K Tashi is like a $80 mass drop knife for me.
Nah. Aaron has a lot of respect for money.
Well, yeah, I bet. They say the rich people get rich because of their respect for money. I was going somewhere with that, but I totally forgot. I had a very witty saying I was going to say, but I'd fucked it up.
But then you didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Thanks for being very unwitty then. That's fine.
Oh, man.
Next, what's your next question then?
One of the knives I wanted to ask you guys about is a knife that I wasn't even thinking about, or a maker I wasn't even thinking about going into Blade Show, but they came out with a pretty big bomb, and that's Hinderer Knives with that full track. Did any of you two get to check that out?
Fuck no, I didn't even know Hinderer was there.
I 100% missed that because he didn't announce it prior to Blade Show that I could tell. And so I went by their table. I saw Rick Hinderer. I saw him standing there a bunch of times talking to folks. He seemed like a nice dude. But I went by their table, and it was all previously released models. And I was like, okay, I've seen all this. Nothing to see here. Move along. And then, I come home from Blade Show, and I see a video a week later that he had this awesome new interchangeable hardware on the full track. And I was like, man, I totally missed that they were not advertising that well. It was not obvious. It was not obvious. I totally missed that, and I regret that a lot.
Well, he put it on Instagram the day, Friday or something, and that was the biggest surprise. I can't believe he's actually going through and putting bearings on that full track, and supposedly he's supposed to be retrofitting bearings into all his other models. So XM18s are getting bearings. I mean,
man, if he does that, awesome. Great job, dude. You listened to the crowd. You did something that we all wanted, and I think it will pay out well for you. Well done. Awesome.
About fucking time,
I mean, it's about time, but he did it, and he did it in a cool way. I think he did it he won the most innovative American knife this year.
The tool is the back strap, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is neat.
And one of the things I always hear about Blade Show or any of these knife shows, which I'll finally get to go one at G10, thank God, and is all the people. The smell is pretty bad, and it's super hot in there. The people's BO be crazy.
It's not an issue to me at all.
You know what? I was expecting it to fucking smell like a public toilet, on a Tennessee afternoon in August, but it was it was cool. It was fine. I didn't smell any person's BO at any point during the whole show. That was it.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't experienced that at any show.
So the other podcast, I was listening to one of their episodes, and that's one of the things they pointed out, that it always smells like shit. So.
Well, I can imagine because that convention hall is huge, and if the AC is not blasting, it's hot in there. Thursday afternoon, it was 90 degrees in that room. It was awful, and it was humid. But on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they had the AC blasting, and it was comfortable the whole time. So I can imagine on other years, if they didn't have ideal AC, it might not have gone as well. I don't know.
Right. So I guess as continuing down that line of question, what did you guys like the least about the show? What disappointed you the most?
The Goblin.
What?
The Koenig Goblin?
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
You're a heretic.
That was such a good knife, man. It was so
Why?
good.
Because the fucking logo? Come on. Give me
No,
a
not the
break.
logo. Not the
I love
logo at
that
all.
shark.
I like the knife because it's okay. If you have ever handled a Koenig Arius, you know that it is a well-made knife with an awesome action, and that he's been developing that knife for a long time.
That's true. And the
all
Goblin
of
isn't.
that. What? All of it is in the Goblin.
No, it is absolutely not.
It is 100%.
It is absolutely not.
What? How are you? What do you even
The
mean?
Goblin.
Explain yourself.
The Goblin feels like a Wii knife, not a Koenig knife. The Goblin has
I disagree.
the handles
I
are
disagree.
so flat. The flipper tab didn't shrink well, so you slip off and it stings. It's super pointy. It's like the flipper tab on a Reich Hummingbird. It's like a
No,
fucking
man,
little
come on.
spike.
It works perfectly.
No, it
I think it wasn't
100%
a
does
spike.
not. It 100% does not work perfectly. Nope.
Man,
Not even, dude. 100%.
I had such a different experience than you did with that knife. I thought it was great.
nah.
The only reason I didn't buy one is I have one coming. Like I've already ordered one and it was almost ready, but it's still
If he
not
makes
ready.
when he makes the full size one, if that feels more like an Arius, then I'll be super into that. But I am not. It was not good.
Let me just be perfectly clear to everyone who's listening that's not Tyler, who's ridiculous, that it feels exactly like an Arius.
How
was
could you
shrunk
even
down,
say that?
Because that's what it feels like.
No, it doesn't. How
Fucking
you're
guy.
lying?
Lee,
What?
get out of here. It felt to me even better. I handled like 4 of them.
Okay,
They were
well I
all
only handled
amazing.
one. So
So I had one at the table. Purvis had one.
I had
Levin-
Purvises.
Yeah, Levin had one. And a couple other people had them. Like they were nice.
No.
They were really nice.
Yeah,
man.
you're right. They were nice in the way that
But-
a $300 Wii knife is nice, but they were
Yes,
not
I-
nice in the way a $700 Arius is nice.
I don't disagree with you, but the very first Arius was not as fancy and nice as the newest ones either. So let's give it some time. These were prototypes too.
Well, but you just said you're contradicting yourself because you just said all the stuff that's in the Arius is in the Goblin, but then you just
But
said
it
it's
is,
not
but-
yet.
But stop being so. Just get out of here, dude. So the foundation of the knife is excellent. There will be some truly spectacular versions. Yes, this one was plain Jane. All of it was media blasted, whatever.
That wasn't
Gray.
what was wrong with it.
All right, fine. You were disappointed in the Goblin. Good for you. I wasn't. Whatever. That's fine. We'll
Oh,
agree to
man.
disagree. We'll agree to disagree. I can't.
He
How
asked.
am I going to convince?
He asked. That was my answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not made in South Africa. It's disappointing. dude.
Oh, don't even.
This is turning into a fight night.
So,
Oh,
what was
shit.
your biggest disappointment? Was it the Thorburn L36M?
No, actually, quite to the contrary. I freaking put in an order for.
Yeah, I
an
know you
L36.
did. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's still in progress here. It's going to be there for a while, probably. What is the biggest disappointment for me?
It doesn't have to be a knife either. I picked a knife, but you could pick a.
It could be an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I had such a good time. Nothing was disappointing to me. I don't know, man.
What did you like the least?
I think that like simple things. They needed more access to like water and bathrooms. I don't really know. Simple things.
I think they actually have pretty good access. Every
I
entryway
think
has
it's
a full
okay.
bathroom and a vending machine.
Yeah, I think it was okay. Nothing really, man. I don't know. Like I didn't have a bad time at all.
It's a really good convention center.
Yeah, I honestly like. I could rag on some people's knives and stuff, but that's not really like. No,
Well, here, Frank,
I
I'll
don't-
give you a thing that you liked the least, and you tell me if you agree.
Okay,
Because this
okay.
is something that that I've talked to some people that aren't huge fans about. There's in the custom knife maker section, it's tables as opposed to
Right.
booths, which are all on the left side. And the tables are these really long rows, and some of them get pretty crowded, and so it's hard to see stuff. And there's a lot of stuff you don't want to see in between what you do want to see. And in particular, there's the like garbage knife dealers that take up like a whole huge section of that area.
There is
the
a
like
huge
$10 like gas station knife dealers. and
Imtex.
yeah, and like,
Wow.
and it's
A lot of them.
and it's so bad, and they take up so much space, and like I don't understand why like all like the bone and whatever handled huge fixed blades aren't sort of like together. You know, it's like it'll be like Shark Knife Co. and then like Thorburn and then like some crazy butcher knife and then you know what I mean.
That
like,
is true.
They
I
should
will
categorize
say-
better.
Okay, I'll agree with you on this. It needed to be organized better because just like you said, you know, there is like a random person selling 40 old Spydercos. There's a booth with a person selling discontinued Kershaws, and then there's like Andrew Demko, and then there's Jeff Vandermeulen, and then there's somebody selling Z Hunters. There's somebody selling fixed blade knives with carbon fiber stuck to the sides of them that I've never seen before.
Those are cool.
But they're just not organized, like he was saying. And so, if there's going to be some people selling these garbage knives, they need to be relegated to a corner. If they're going to be custom folding tactical knives, there really needs to be a section of folding custom tactical knives, and it should be organized a little bit better. Fixed blades, folding knives, custom. I don't really know. They're all custom in that section, I guess, but like maybe even geographically, you know, they tried to put some of the South African stuff together, but even still, they were scattered. You know.
I think certain makers, like, I don't know if they pay extra or whatever, but people definitely tried it. Like, Sergey and Recon 1 are always paired, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's, like, certain things going on there.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like some stuff they should have already had figured out a long time ago.
You
I
would
don't
think, yeah. I wonder if it's more, like, about population distribution. Like, if so many people are there for the custom tactical knives that, like, if they didn't have stuff in between, then you just have, like, all these empty aisles and all these packed aisles.
know. Maybe.
I'm sure that there's a better reasoning behind it, but it was weird. The way that it was spaced out sometimes was a little bit weird.
It's brutal. It's like, oh, man, I'm at Thorburn's table, and it's like, oh, I want to go see JD, and it's like, where's JD? And it's like, well, he's fucking 9 columns and 30 rows, 30 tables west of where we are. Okay.
The thing that I liked the least, this is something that I actually did dislike, and it does have
See,
to do
I
with
knew
this,
I'd get you there.
Okay.
was the signage, okay?
It's awful.
So these tables, there are like 83 rows and 150 columns, and
He's exaggerating.
I'm exaggerating, but really and truly, there were 25 rows and there were 25 columns. I mean, really, that's not inaccurate.
Yeah.
It was a huge grid of things, and there was one area only in the entire place where these were labeled, and it was huge signs that were 30 feet in the air, and you're like, is this lining up with that row? I can't really tell.
Because the roads are staggered.
Right. And
They're
so
staggered, and so the numbers are in between 2 different rows.
They need to have at the edge of every long segment a number designation, 100, 200. They don't have that. And that
and it
would
wouldn't
help
even
a
be
lot
hard to just print it out on normal copier paper and like scotch tape it to the end of the
It
table.
would take somebody 10 minutes to make that happen.
Yeah,
It would take
it's
2
crazy
people
that they don't
5
have
minutes.
that. It's almost like they do it on purpose. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
So you're saying they're like a grocery store making you have to like find the milk, so you go through the aisles of shit?
Yeah, but imagine if the numbers, the things that said what's in the aisle were above the actual aisle, were above like the shelves and not the aisle. So it was like offset to where the fucking aisles are. So you're like, well, is the coffee in this aisle or this aisle because it's over the shelves? Like, fuck.
Right, and some people tried to circumvent that by making a big sign, but I don't think that that's going to be the solution for everyone, because if everyone has a sign, then all the signs are blocked out.
Correct.
So
Right.
it's a thing.
So let me ask this. What knife or material or anything like that you had no idea existed going into the show, but coming out of the show you were excited about, or you were turned on to it, that you wanted to know more about said knife material person?
Well, I can answer that very quickly because I've spent a lot of my third day doing materials shopping. I ended up picking up actually 2 blocks of Chad Nichols' Mokume. One of them was the Zirkume, so it has Zirk, bronze, and copper, and I ended up giving that to Andre Thorburn to build an L36M with. So that should be pretty spectacular whenever that's finished up. But I also bought a block of Mokume that's copper and Zirk. So it's called Cuzr or Cuzr. That I'm going to be giving to somebody else, possibly Nick Chuprin, for a special project.
You and those special projects, man.
Special projects all the time. So I thought that material was super, super cool. Oh man, I had and then Damasteel actually made an announcement at the Blade Show that they've got a new Sanmai with a nitrogen powdered steel core.
Yeah.
That they have developed themselves. So it's their own proprietary stuff again. So they've got their RWL, PMC, and now this nitrogen steel that they've come up with. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but I was going to make a knife with Jason Guthrie, and he was curious on picking some of this up and possibly using it on that project knife. So
oh, what? I gotta email him right now.
More special projects, wink wink. Things are happening, so we'll see.
So it was called Damacor, right? Was that the name of it?
Damacor. I wish I had looked this up before we started, but it's all got letters and names and designations and things. But it's a nitrogen steel, like Vanax, like LC200N, like H1, or but a higher end version, and it should be awesome.
Huzzah!
Was there anything that excited you, Tyler?
So I didn't really focus on materials at all, but the one thing that I did not know about going in that I was pretty happy exists is the field grade Bodega Knives Astio.
Bag knives,
yeah, retailing
$1,000 cheaper, $11.80.
Yeah,
but still $1,200.
It's a good knife. It's a really good knife. It's a great design. JVO is a great designer. It flips well. It's got a really comfortable grip. It's got a really comfortable flipper tab. I'm a sucker for harpoons. It fits your finger perfectly, like where your thumb sits. The inlays, while they are not polished, they are incredibly smooth. The blasted handles are fantastic to hold. And I honestly think that the working finish on the blade is favorable to the full mirror polish. So at $1,200, it's still definitely asking Bodega prices. But their products have always been in that range, and I think that people have been asking for a knife that is something that they can fucking carry, right? Because a Bodega and a Glimpse are huge. And they are messing around with mini stuff now, but it's been a long time. And the Astio is actually a lot smaller than it looks in pictures. It fits the hand really well. And I think it's an excellent offering to see from them after sort of all the turmoil that they had and everything, coming out of the gate strong. And, at $2,200, the fully polished ones are a tough pill to swallow. I honestly think they're kind of worth it. The amount of handwork, their polishing work is really almost pretty much as good as it gets in the industry. So I kind of think they're worth it. But if that's not the kind of money you want to pay for a knife, the field grade one is definitely worth your money too.
Well, yeah. I've been looking at that knife too, for sure. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I've been torturing myself whether or not I've had it checked out. I put the credit card information in and 3 different times. I asked you guys about it before Blade and everything. I wish they had more options on the inlays though, because right now it's carbon fiber or OD green micarta or a mix of the two.
Yeah.
So maybe if they did some other
the carbon fiber, I think looks good and it feels really good.
That's what I was gonna do. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
I don't know if they plan on doing too much, but they're always fucking around. I mean, there should be other options, I would think, eventually.
Yeah, right now they're doing stuff with gold inlays.
I saw
they're
that. Yeah.
yeah, it's insane.
It's like
And
milled out.
that's the California custom group that's now under the name of Beg Knives after all that mess earlier in the year. All right. I don't know if I have too many other questions. I think we've covered a lot here, from everything from the people, the community, the experience, to some of the cool new materials and knives and knife makers. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you guys that you wanted to bring up about Blade Show?
Frank, do you have anything off the top of your head? I know there's
my gosh.
other things to say.
I could talk for days about it, man. Like, it was. What I'll say is that it was, for me, every bit as much fun as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I had a fairly specific goal in mind to pick up a couple of knives, to meet a bunch of people. I was very loosely organized when I came in. Like, all I really had was a very basic game plan to meet up with a handful of people at some point, and I just kind of let it happen, and it was a lot of fun. And I took some breaks. I rested. I didn't just go super hard. I didn't get ultra drunk or wasted or anything like that. And
some people did.
Some people do, and that's
certain
cool.
maker, right?
Yeah.
Our friend,
Oh, I guess I didn't really hear about that one.
the Jolly Green Giant that we have.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Picking people up.
Ian got a little tipsy, and he was picking people up because he's a fucking 6'5" monster.
Yeah, he's fucking huge,
He's
man.
big,
We got to hang out with him a whole lot.
A lot, yeah.
I even brought home one of your knives, Josh. You have that one.
Yeah,
now,
why haven't you talked about that, Josh? Talk about that.
Oh,
you did get a knife from Blade
Yeah,
Show.
exactly.
well, yeah, it was supposed to be a Blade Show delivery. It was the CMF Metalworks Daedalus, however you say the dude's. Daedalus. See, I know how to pronounce shit going into these shows, but as soon as like the microphone's on, I can't fucking talk.
Daedalus. Get out of here. Oh,
Like the
man.
last episode or two or whatever. I know who it is. It's the dude that built Icarus's wings. How about that? I know who the dude is.
Icarus's dad, yeah.
Yeah. He's the fucking craftsman god dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
that
also-
fucking guy.
he built the Labyrinth.
Daedalus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daedalus.
It's one of them gods, Dallas, boy.
Yeah, you know.
He built the Centaurs. I tell you what, you get too close to them wings, I mean, they're gonna burn.
It's got a Timascus thing,
Anyways.
hyperdrive,
That's how
right?
Yeah, it's got hyperdrive Damascus. The one thing though I will say about it is he was building a lot of knives going into Blade Show, and he was running on like a very close clock. So he
Yes.
didn't finish my knife. So he moved he was in Tucson, Arizona, and he's moving back to Pennsylvania where he's originally from, and he's in Pennsylvania now. It's going to take him another month or so to get his house situated and his shop situated. But when he gets his shop all sorted out, I'm going to send it back to him. The blade is going to be all hand rub. He's going to change the swedge, so I'm going to have like a full length swedge instead of just that little tip. So we're going to get rid of all that flat real estate that it's got going on.
Nice.
It was a prototype, so he told me going into it, I want to try some things out. If you don't like it, I'll change it. He tried some stuff out. He shipped it. Well, he gave it to you, Frank, at Blade Show, and he told me when I get my shop set up, send it back to me, and there's going to be some changes. It's got a regular titanium backspacer. We're going to do something special with the backspacer that I haven't quite figured out yet, and then it's got the hyperdrive Damascus show side, and it's got the hyperdrive clip. It's got that. It's going to have a full hand rub satin blade, and we're going to change the swedge, make the swedge more aggressive, and yeah.
For those of you wondering, I will be having a video on that knife coming up here pretty soon. I already made that.
There you go.
Yeah, I watched it. It was a good video.
Sweet.
But yeah, it was one of my only Blade Show pickups. But I will say that that the knife community and all together is amazing. But Tyler himself really did something really cool. I couldn't make it, and he sent me kind of like a little grab bag of a bunch of different stuff, and it surprised the hell out of me because I wasn't expecting it. And it was some, I mean, I had some Gavco shirts in there, man. I'm wearing them Gavco shirts like every day. They're 2X. I mean, I can't even.
That's all. Mine are 2X too.
It was because Mike gave them to you because he wanted to send something along, and there was these cool ass chainmail little lanyard things, and I've got them
Martin
on my
knives. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away. It's like titanium chainmail, and just the letter that you wrote about it, and that's like one of the nicest things anybody's ever done. And I was kind of depressed that I didn't get to go, and getting that, I was like, oh shit, this dude, he's a real knife bro.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That
Man.
was very nice of you to do that, man.
I figured it was the least I could do.
He was dedicated to it too, Josh. Like, you should just know, like, he spent time like, oh, I'm gonna get this for him, man. It's gonna be great. He's gonna love it. So bummed he's not here.
Yeah, it made it made the whole missing it. It made up for it. I was like, oh, that dude, he's a pretty good guy.
He's a brat.
Well,
he's a brat.
Everybody definitely chipped in, and Michael Gavick wished that you were there, and I said hi to everybody for you. And we look forward. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to go to G10. I really hope so. You know that shit's over Labor Day weekend, man. I can't travel over Labor Day weekend. Fuck, man.
So also, I don't know if this makes any difference, but I did find out that both Dr. Shabazz and the Snuggle Bunny will be going to G10.
Everybody's going to go.
Is he
a
doctor?
It's a good show.
Does he have a doctorate?
I think he just finished his PhD. Yes.
Oh, good for him.
I want to read his dissertation. Is that what you do for your PhD?
Do it in his voice.
Yeah. he does it. He does it in his voice. That is pretty much his real voice.
So he is going to G10. I'm gonna find him.
Oh, he's going. That's my understanding. I probably just ruined it for him, but you know, there you go.
Man,
I like the funniest thing was like he kept posting those things on Instagram. If you see somebody trying to pretend to be Nick Shabazz, kick them in the nuts. That's my best Nick Shabazz impression. It's that's like a 3 out of 10.
Speaking of Knife Bros doing cool shit at Blade, Aaron got into the Steel Flame shit early with Micah and picked up some stuff, and they toss like little things in with your purchases. So Aaron bought some things. And they gave him a tag, and it's one of the Bushido Koi tags, which is like one of the themes that I collect, and he tossed that to me. So
That's awesome.
I appreciated that. Yeah, it was cool.
Your gift was cooler. I'm just kidding. Mine was. Dude, that Wii hat, like I'll wear it, and I just, people look at me. Like I've had like 3 people ask me, what is Wii Knives? And I always tell them it's like an Adam Sandler joke, so I don't have to explain to them about knives.
Oh, what? I love those opportunities. I always explain it.
Well, I'm in California, and people here, you say knife,
true.
and they're all like, oh, are you going to like stab me?
Fair point.
Like, what are you doing?
It's like, oh my God, he's got a hat about a knife. Do you have a knife? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to call the SWAT team.
Yeah,
exactly.
I wear mine all the time. I didn't even think about it.
Well, you're not in
I'm in Virginia.
Yeah, I'm in the Bay Area.
Right,
it's
right.
Like, okay, anyways, I guess I'm still the host or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to think of any last things. I don't know, man. It's just like really nice seeing everybody. Andre Thorburn had me pull up a chair, and we got to have a nice little 45-minute one-on-one conversation on Saturday, so that was really pleasant. It's always nice when you can really score somebody's time. I don't know, man. I love going every year. It's so fun. But I honestly was like really disappointed with the offering of knives overall this year compared to last year. I just feel like I saw more spectacular stuff last year. Like overall, not that there wasn't a ton of cool stuff at the show, but
you know, so I'll kind of echo that in the sense that you may not be as interested as I am in some of the production knives out there, like the ZTs.
mm-hmm.
I'm
Benchmade,
excited.
Spyderco's. I went to all their tables, and I felt that in that sense, I was also let down. ZT's doing the year of regurgitation. You know, it's all
Yeah.
regurgitated models. Even the new one, the 470, is just a bigger Atmos. So regurgitation. And then, Spyderco's got a few offerings, but their prices are getting higher. Benchmade is just more of the same stuff. Here, look, more Axis lock knives, hooray. And so I was disappointed by those guys. I was hoping, I think Riot was the runaway winner of the production knives at this show. I think We Knives was right there with them. They had some pretty impressive offerings.
I love their baby kukri. The little
the little
kukri
blade
is one of my favorite things ever. I'm definitely gonna get
the
one.
neck knife, the kukri neck knife, right?
It's so cute.
Yeah. So with for me, their best stuff to me is like their collaborations. I don't really like their original designs.
Their Ishims, dude, are sick.
The new ones. The Pleroma, man. The Pleroma video was awesome. And the other one who's doing the Eterna.
I wish it came in another color. The Pleroma is probably my favorite, but it's it's gold, right? That's the Pleroma.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but they'll have it in they'll have it in multiple colors.
Good.
We Knives reposted one of my pictures that I posted on Instagram, and I said, "Can you make it in green?" And his response was, "Great minds think alike." And I was like, "All right,
there you go.
We're gonna have a green one." So I gotta buy it now, basically.
The obligations.
The Spyderco booth, you mentioned the production knives and stuff, and I'm glad you did because it just reminded me something pretty special about Spyderco. They have a no photography, very hush prototype.
Yes, they told me I wasn't allowed to take any pictures or videos, and then some people got to take pictures and videos of those exact same knives.
Was there anything cool in there in the prototype little area?
So I was very fortunate. I was lucky enough to handle all of the Spyderco prototypes in front of Eric Glesser and talk to him about every single one of them. I didn't record it, and I didn't tell him who I was. I was just some random bro, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Frank," and he talked to me, and he was just a nice guy.
You just gotta ask somebody that speaks Russian if you can pick him up, man. If you can take video.
So we should tell him not to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
I would say that the Drunken was very impressive. That's that Sinkovich.
It's $410.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. $410, but it's got $410 worth of work on it. So have you handled a Sigma? Do you have a Sigma, right?
Yeah, we all have.
Yeah.
So I learned about this. So that carbon fiber pattern that's on the Sigma is called the Drunken. It's called the Drunken pattern, apparently.
Okay.
So that's where this gets its name, and the scale has that milling, and it looks exactly like the Sigma. It's that well done. The carbon fiber is internally milled. The titanium on the other side is internally milled and also has some milling wavy pattern. It's S90V. It's on bearings. It's a very, very nicely done knife. Honestly, if Custom Knife Factory was selling it, it'd be $500. If ZT was selling it, it'd be probably $300. Somehow they managed to kind of get their prices in the right place right there. But it's going to be a little expensive, but it is a nice knife. Another one I was actually impressed by was the Resenti Paisan that's coming out.
It's like a mirror wash, right? Is it highly reflective, or did they stop doing that?
They nailed it, man. They got the action right. They got the detent right. They got the lockup right. I'm not the Paisan blade shape is not as cool to me as the Nirvana. If they had made the Nirvana like they make the Paisan, it would have been the greatest production knife ever to me. I love that knife so much. But the Paisan is really nicely done. I think if you're hesitant about paying $1,000 for a custom Resenti or $1,500 or $2,000, buy a $500 Spyderco. It is going to be every bit worth it, I think. It's going to be really nice.
Yeah, they came out with a lot of cool stuff. The Drunken, I don't know. Are you going to buy one, Frank?
Maybe.
That's how I feel. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Maybe. I want the Drunken and the Paisan. There were some other pretty good ones, but Not any others that really kind of stuck out to me. There was a Gareth Bull. They had a wolf mouse.
Are you kidding me? They did?
They have a wolf mouse prototype. I couldn't take any pictures of it, but it was there, so I can talk about it.
Is it a front flipper or there's just
It's
a hole?
front flipper. It's a front flipper.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it just has a little hole in the blade. I didn't know that was a thing at all.
Me either. Yeah.
I don't know why they chose the wolf mouse, but I guess that's what people do.
I think the wolf mouse is cute.
It's a good blade.
It's like a techno kind of.
Yeah, it worked really well too. The front flipper worked well on the prototype.
People need to stop punching fucking holes in all the good knives. So thank God it's the wolf mouse and not a chamois.
Oh yeah, I would. I would agree with you on that point. If it was a chamois with a hole in it, I wouldn't. I would feel like you do. Actually, I would be on Tyler's side. Believe it or not.
Hey, that's fine, but it is. Yeah.
So
would you like it if it was a chamois with a hole in it, Frank? Would you be okay with it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Oh my God!
But
Frank
I don't think Spyderco would be the best company to execute that knife, though.
Right.
I think I know a better company
why.
that is probably going to execute that knife. So
I think you and I both, as well as Tyler.
Yeah. So be quiet.
Fuck that shit. So I don't know anything about any of this production nonsense, but one thing that I was pretty stoked on that I didn't think would impress me, something that I'm going to have to get my hands on, are the barrel flashlights. Aaron got the fucking antique green one with copper accents, and the Radmaskus Mokutai one with well, it's not Mokutai, it's Radmaskus. Sorry, the Radmaskus one with zirconium accents. And dude, they weigh 100 pounds. They're the fucking coolest thing ever. They feel so good in the hand, and they're just so cool. Well made. They're rock solid. And I mean, it just, the green one was $500, and it's you hear $500, and you're like, fuck, man, I don't need that. And then you get it in hand, and you're like, this is premium as shit. They're mega.
See, I never knew how much money they cost. I always assumed they're
Blade
thousands
Show.
of dollars.
They are thousands of dollars.
They are thousands of dollars.
He got it direct, not from
that Timascus one. Set him back
5 Gs.
The Radmaskus ones are there was a Radmaskus barrel flashlight that auctioned off on Instagram for $5,600.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that going to this Blade Show pretty much focused my idea that I'm not really as interested in sort of the peripheral sort of gear that's out there right now.
We didn't even talk about your saga. I'm sorry.
So I was going to get into that. Yeah, I kind of missed that totally. We're an hour or so into this already, and I'm going to bring it up, but it's fine. There is a lot of non-knife gear at the Blade Show. There's bottle openers, and some people have these things, all the steel flame stuff.
I love it all, dude. I'm almost into it. I'm into it as much as I'm into the knives at this point.
I think the steel flame stuff is so stupid.
Shut up, dude.
Some people are super into it, and what I see it as is really a status symbol piece, because everyone knows that you spent money on it, and somebody else will give you a whole lot more money for it. I'm focused on the knives. I realize that I need to stay away from that stuff, that it doesn't really do anything.
Steel flame stuff is like Beanie Babies.
Even the flashlights, though, the high-end flashlights.
It's all like Beanie Babies.
I've got an Olight for $65 that's, 1,000 lumens and is rechargeable.
Yeah, but except really I could say the same thing about
knives, and that's true.
Yeah,
I always think about that.
Kershaw versus the Thorburn.
I'm always quick to say that about other stuff. When I hear about $1,000 flashlight, I'm like, fuck that, my iPhone has a flashlight, But
right, but then when you say I have $1,000 knife, people are like, fuck that, I have $3 scissors.
Exactly. So I see where people are coming from, and it's the same thing the steel flame stuff. I think this stuff's stupid as hell, but some people like it.
People obsess over that stuff. They are in.
You guys are talking about it like I'm not here.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people. You saw these guys at the show. There are dudes walking around with 6 chains. Every ring.
I want to be that guy.
On it. They have 16 belt buckles,
Yeah.
and like they have one inlaid in their tooth, like a skull on their tooth.
Yeah,
They have all of
I
the
want to be
stuff.
that guy.
Yeah,
I do.
and it's just like there's such a powerful market for this stuff. I came home and I immediately sold my Steel Flame filler tab for double the price. I'm sorry, I'm
well.
a terrible person, but it happened.
I'm not into
I just
all
don't
of
have
it,
enough.
but it's like you sort of get into certain themes. Everybody sort of collects usually certain themes. So I've got my couple of themes, and I love that shit.
I don't have enough time, energy, or money to get into anything else besides knives. Like if I was into EDC stuff, my knife collection would dwindle. That's when I got into knives. That's the same thing happened with my gun collection. I had like 50 guns, and now I have like 13, and now I have 50 knives.
Well, good trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was an awesome episode. I've learned I am a horrible host, but we had fun.
No, not at all.
Oh, it's a good time.
Yeah, it was a good show. Yeah, fuck. Any closing remark? I mean, fuck.
I would just
I feel
welcome
bad
if
like even
anybody
closing
had-
it out. Like there's so
If
much.
anybody
that
had
happened.
any questions or anything, they could send us in an email. We could answer it in the next episode.
I guess we should reiterate for the millionth time, right? We want to do tiny little Q&As at the end of our shows. Please email us.
Yeah. A lot of people are listening, but we're not getting a lot of responses.
Or just even leave a comment down below on YouTube or wherever. We'll pull them.
Yeah.
And let us know if you like this casual style. I mean, we were really free-flowing in this one, saying what came to mind, and we were very casual about it. And it's something you guys enjoy. We can look into doing more of these. I know our next episode should be a maker spotlight, hopefully, right? Is that what we're doing?
There's potential for that, yeah.
It's on the table. We can make that happen.
Yeah, so our next episode coming out will be a Meet Your Maker.
Should be.
Should be.
We don't know their schedule yet.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys. Of course, you guys can email us at theknifecast@gmail.com with those questions or with anything whatsoever, or any feedback, of course, as Josh mentioned. Josh, where can we find you outside of the podcast?
I go by Echo Does Knives. There are 2 underscores in that name because Instagram hates spaces, and I will continue to say that as long as it's true.
All right, and Frank.
I go by Dr. Frunky. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Frunky, one word. You can find me on YouTube as Dr. Frunky, where I have some videos, and I have a Gmail, drfrunky@gmail.com, all one word. And anytime, hit me up.
There you go. And I am, of course, Tovarishworks on YouTube, and you can find me on Instagram at Tovarishworks. I'm messing around with Instagram TV right now. We'll see how that goes. You can email me at tovarishworks@gmail.com for any reason whatsoever. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time.